If I were running your ads, here's exactly what I would do. But before we get tactical, let me give you some quick context. There are really only 4 ways to get leads. I learned this from Alex Hermosi's $100 million leads. 1-to-1 warm outreach, people who already know you. 1-to-1 cold outreach, DMs, emails, calls. 1-to-many to people who already know you, like YouTube videos or social posts. By the way, it takes about 7 hours of content for someone to trust you enough to buy. So every video stacks that time. And then lastly, 1-to-many for people that don't know you at all. That's paid ads in PPC. So if I were running your ads, first thing I'd do is get a baseline. What's working? What's your cost per click, cost per lead, and cost per sell? If you don't have that data, we'd set that up. Because without it, we're burning cash blind. Then I'd figure out your most desperate avatar. The more desperate your audience, the easier it is to close. From there, I'd use ChatGPT to whip up a quick 15-second script. Record it in about 15 minutes and start running it on Facebook. Because if we can get your cost per click down to 50 cents, then $50 equals 100 clicks to your website. With the 1% booking rate and a 50% close rate, that's like spending $100 to get a $1,000 wedding client. That's the simple math. And if I were running your ads, that's exactly how I'd do it. If I was running your ads, here's what I'd do first. First, we need to have metrics that we can track. Data is everything. A lot of times, at least I've found, anytime I don't track what's going on, I slack. Like for instance, if I'm working out and I don't track the days that I actually worked out, or if I did it, or the routines, or if I checked something off, I slack. If I decide to make some big change on the website, but I don't track like the metrics before that change, very hard to tell if what I did was actually effective. I actually did this other day. Made the website really beautiful, really amazing. I was super proud of all the work, the creative work. But I plummeted our entire load speed, right? Because of all these beautiful things. So of course you need to kind of go back. And I had the stats, the metrics of the KPIs of what it was before, and then I had the KPIs of after. And you can make a very clear line of okay, doing the action made change this result. It doesn't mean that the result that we got was all the way bad, right? The beautiful website, it looks amazing, but now we need to adjust based on the changes. And so coming back to ads are a bit of I actually think doing PPC, like advertising, is actually not that hard. As far as the game goes, as far as getting the click and being able to get the click down, the price down for the click. That's really what we're talking about here. That's the kind of the frame. We're not talking specifically about the conversion of, okay, once someone clicks to my website, how do I get them to book and all that? We're not talking about that. But what we're talking about is the biggest lever that you can pull on your business as far as cash flow burning, right? So if you're paying for ads and you're paying $20 a day, $100 a day, whatever it is that you're paying a day, let's just say that you're paying, I'll put it at $10 a day just so it's a little bit easier for us to kind of equate the math because it's 10. If I'm paying $10 a day and, my click CPC, let's say it's $2, okay? Very high. That means that I'm only getting 5 clicks a day, right? And so for me to get 100 people on the website, that's 20 days of me paying $10. So pretty bad. So the idea is how can we get this CPC down? How can we get it down? And obviously there's ad frequency, there's a lot of stuff that's going on, but how can I put, my $10 in, my $20 in, my $100 in, whatever it is, and then how can I get the most leads that are interested in our offer, right? Because anybody that hasn't done advertising probably knows how hard it is to actually get someone that is maybe interested in what you're doing, right? Because you have the 4 things, the 4 ways you can get leads. This is from Alex Hormozi. You have one-to-one warm outreach, okay? That's typically people that you know or that follow you. So that's anyone in your phone book. That's anyone like that follows you. That's anyone in your email addresses that you've messaged back and forth. Maybe, so you can reach out to them and say, hey, do you need a website? Hey, do you need help with your marketing? Hey, blah, blah, blah. You can do that, or the better way to actually do it that I've found is, instead of asking them, hey, do you need X? Do you know anybody? Because all of a sudden what you're doing is you're actually asking for a referral versus asking them directly if they need something. Sometimes they might, sometimes they don't, but asking for a referral is much more chill, and also you can ask for a referral over and over and over again. If I ask you, and don't get me wrong, you can still ask someone if they need marketing every month. Like, hey, do you need marketing every month? It's like, nope. But if you say, hey, do you know anybody? Like, I'm going to follow up this one. Do you know anybody that, and they may actually come into contact with people that actually need it, and it's easier to kind of close stuff. Anyways, there's that. There's one-to-one cold outreach, which is much harder because they don't know you at all. So you're kind of pretty much sending out things, and it's like a shot in the dark. Much harder to close on that. I did that for a month, and it was rough. It was rough. I got the systems down to send it all out, but man, the response rate really low. And you're when you are doing it yourself, at any given point in time, we're doing all this stuff ourselves. At any point that we do outreach, aside from maybe advertising, right? Aside from like paid ads, a lot of times we're doing this ourselves, or we're having someone else do it on our behalf. So we're spending money regardless, right? I'm paying an employee to go and do outreach for me, or I'm doing it. So the effectiveness of that, like you start like, man, I'm burning cash. I'm burning cash. Cold outreach is pretty tough. Don't recommend initially. It does work, absolutely. Of course it works. It's a numbers game, but don't recommend initially. Then you have one-to-many, which is kind of what we're doing right here. One-to-many is really interesting because it's a lot like nurturing, right? We're building a relationship, we're talking, we're going about this. And you may see one little tiny short of me and consume 30 seconds of my content. And then you might do it again. And then you might then listen to a YouTube video that's 30 minutes long. And then you might listen to a podcast that's an hour and a half long. And eventually in time, even though you haven't talked to me personally, you know what I'm about, you understand my beliefs, my systems, you're like the expertise, etc. You get a good vibe and a good sense of the character that you're interacting with. And so I think they say the metric is like 7 hours of time spent with somebody is like the thing, or the metric that like they found is required to make big decisions or whatever. And so if you think about, if you were to listen to 7 of your podcasts 7 times, like your favorite podcast 7 times, like you probably are more likely to be ready to do a buying decision with that person. So one-to-many has the absolute crazy high leverage of, I make one piece of content, I spend 30 minutes recording this, right? And maybe I spend another 30 minutes or an hour or whatever it is to cut it up, edit it or whatever. Then maybe I spend another 30 minutes actually distributing it. So I've spent, of my time, I've spent maybe, let's call it 2 hours. And so from those 2 hours, I then can send it out to my entire audience, which then can compound, right? My audience could be massive. It can, it could be 10 people, it can be 400 people, it can be, 4,000 people. And I send this video out, and you guys watch it. You may not watch all the parts or whatever and skip blah, 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 but much better of an investment in time doing one-to-many in a sense, and you guys then eventually self-select, right? So I'm not exactly reaching out to you. You can do this, right? You could on your social media still. That's the same thing when you post something on social media, one-to-many. You could say, hey guys, you know anybody that needs a website? That is a one-to-many dynamic. But of course, we don't want to ask every post. We don't want it to be an ask, or else like that becomes, spammy, etc., whatever. Now, the place that you can do ask all the time, always, is then advertising, right? It's one-to-many to a cold audience. People that don't know you, don't know your brand. And this isn't talking about retargeting, because then I wouldn't say they know you, but they've at least seen your face one time before with retargeting. Anyways, one-to-many on cold with advertising, you get the benefit of not having any of these people, this network of people, right? Because originally you had followers. You get access to the world or the circle of what you're paying for with people that are actually interested in what you're selling, or roughly around the same. They have the same. They're a CEO, or they're a mom with a dog or whatever. They're way more likely to vibe with your message in Facebook or whatever, and Google, whatever. They've all gotten really good at being able to figure out who to put this message in front of and who's likely to make the click, right? And the click, when I click, that's the intention, right? If I look at an ad, if I look at, this is not an ad, but if I look at an ad for Dunkin' Donuts and then I scroll past it, I've seen it. It's made an impression on me, but I've seen it. But me seeing an ad from Dunkin' Donuts and then be like, click, that is going from being a lead that's not really interested to someone that is interested. And yes, that can be a very, very, very tiny, not that interested, but they showed some sort of sign of like, click. And so we want to get as many people as we can to say, click, that sounds cool, that's a vibe. And then we want to get as many people as we can to do that, because that's leads, for as low of a cost as we can. Because you literally can double your leads or quadruple your leads by just making your CPC better. And that's what we're kind of talking about. So if I were literally doing your ads, I would think about, okay, one, we need a baseline. Who knows, where we're at right now. But let's at least make a baseline. So let's make an ad. We'd go into Canva, look at your industry, whatever it is. And we're not looking to make this ad the absolute best. Because, again, we're just trying to get a baseline. Let's make something. Let's put it on Facebook. And put, like I said, $10 behind it, $20 behind it, whatever, for the day, per day. And after 2 or 3 days, we'll get just that. You'll get that information. We're not going to judge ourselves too much on initially how it goes, because we want, of course, the thing is, we want the data. We want day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. Because once we have the data, then we can make the improvements. It's so much easier to be like, okay, got it. I'm 185 pounds. I want to get to 200 in muscle. But if you don't know that you're 185 and you're not tracking that, hard for you to be hard pressed to be motivated to get to the goal of 200, or even know that you're even you don't know where you're at. So let's figure out where we're at. That's what we're going to do. We got it. Boom. Let's say the ad comes back. Actually, let me look at my phone so I can pull this up real quick while we're on. Ad manager. So the first ad that I put out, let's bring this up. All right, last 30 days. I wonder if I can see, I'm trying to see this here. what day were we on? I don't want to take up too much. I'll try to talk in between while I look this up. But essentially we made an ad. I didn't think the ad was great at all for Creative Hourly, for the business or whatever. First ad, boom. Get this, view performance. Essentially, edit, view performance. Okay, here we go. Sorry. So we started the ad June 12th, 2025. So roughly-ish a month ago. And the first day, because it was just getting started, again, this is roughly spending $10 a day. We had ad spend of $4.27. The reach was 354, viewers 350, frequency 1.13, impressions 400, CPM $10.68, and 2 link clicks. Right, so pretty terrible. Our CPC was $2. There we go. That's all we really need to know. Our CPC was $2.14. Pretty terrible. I could have created another ad right then and there, but I wanted to give it a few days. So I did that, and we went to $1.46. This says 33 cents, which is not accurate because of whatever I think the ad spend dropped or whatever, so it wasn't accurate. Then to 82 cent, then to 42 cent, then to 61 cent. And so the first ad I put up, it was okay, but I think the problem that we had with the ad was the budgeting, like the making sure that the Facebook ad had enough money or whatever in the campaign budget so it continuously ran, right? So the first thing is making sure that you have a payment method on file that is continuously getting charged over and over and over, or loading up your Facebook campaign. Most people with their Facebook campaigns, and they allow it to go until they see like one result, and then they stop and they turn it off because like, oh my god, money's going out the pocket, right? But like with your advertising, the big thing here is like, this is money. It's kind of like you're paying an employee, right? You're looking to get a result in return out of the employee, but you're probably not always going to get a result every single day, all the time, always. You are actually getting a result every day, by the way, from Facebook. But the thing is, the reason why we're paying for our ads is because we want revenue, right? So if we don't see the revenue go up at all from this investment, from paying Facebook over and over and over again, because you got to think, $10 a day, that's $300 that you've spent you're spending every single month. And $10, like I said, is small. It's small. It's enough to first start testing, but then when you want to A/B test, you then need to run another ad. That's another $10, right? So you're continuously having an A/B. So now you're up to $600 pretty much per month that you're just automatically dropping on ads. And so if you aren't getting a return on that ad spend, it's very easy for you to say day 7, nah, we're going to turn this off. But I challenge you to say, okay, what's a comfortable budget? What's a comfortable amount that I'm willing to spend? Because you can do an ad, and then if you're like, you know what, I really have a feeling that this other ad's going to do better, you can turn the old ad off and put the new one up, so that you still keep that, let's call it $10 instead of $20. That way you're not spending double, and also your landing page is broken and all the other things are broken. It feels that way because you're trying to get water through the funnel. You're trying to get water through the whole thing. But the thing is PPC is the very first step. your problems will not be fixed just with that. It will create this big funnel, but now you got data coming through that funnel, and now we got to the website, now you got 100% bounce rate, right? And now you also don't have book calls booked. So I challenge you not to stop the ad spend. Get something that is comfortable that can be spent every day, okay? $10 I think is maybe comfortable for most people. You know, that's your latte, that's your whatever. Keep your latte, by the way. I love my Dunkin'. So you put up your first ad. Video ads, I've found, do much better than photos. That's not to say that photos don't perform well, but I've found that what you can do for your business, if you want to, one, get brand recognition of who the person you are, and you want to also get really good at delivering ads, and you want higher or lower CPCs, like better conversions, I'd recommend going over to ChatGPT, opening up ChatGPT and saying, okay, here's what I do. Here's my business, right? So let's say that I'm wedding photography, okay? Hey, I'm a wedding photographer, or I own a wedding photography branch, agency, whatever. I really need to get people in, obviously I need to get new brides or new brides to be or whatever into the door and start closing more weddings. Obviously that's the intention. So now you want to not just think, okay, who is that person? You want to think about who is the most desperate person, okay, that needs it. And I know it sounds a bit kind of harsh or a bit whatever, but when I'm starving for a meal, I'm way more likely to buy. If I'm starving for a steak or whatever, for Chipotle or whatever, I am way more likely. The probability that I buy food is up here versus when I'm well fed. I'm already fed, I'm good, I'm chilling. So you want the person that's in the most, and you can call it the most pain, you can call it most like whatever. AI is great with doing this. You say, okay, who is that person? And AI can say, okay, cool, I can help you. I can actually do this right now. So we can kind of walk through this. Let's see, Chat GPT. Got it, okay. Hey Chat, I run a wedding photography business. I'm looking to create ads for Facebook. Can you tell me who, like who's my avatar? Like, who's the most desperate for my services? I'd like to cater to them. Okay, here we go. And go. We'll wait for it. And chat's gonna say, waiting for this to pop up. Da 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 da. All right, I'm gonna play this out. Jesus. Come on, chat. There we go. All right, ready? Here we go.
Absolutely. Let's break this down and figure out your highest intent avatar, meaning the people most desperate, aka urgently motivated to book a wedding photographer. Hashed. Who is your most desperate avatar? Here's who is most urgently seeking your services, based on real market psychology and industry trends. 1. Brides, 25 to 35, planning their wedding within the next 3 to 12 months. Usually the primary decision maker for photography, emotionally invested, more likely to splurge for memories. Often under time pressure, venues and dates lock in fast, then they scramble for photos, video. Pinterest obsessed, Instagram driven, want to show off engagement and wedding journey. 2. Late planners, couples who've booked venue and date, but no photographer yet. They're stressed. Most venues book 12 to 18 months out, but many put off photos until last 6 months. They panic when they realize photographers are booked on popular dates.
Okay, I'm going to pause this. But you see there how it's able to name the people that are probably most in need of your service right now. They're desperate. They're ready to go. Meaning that they are more likely to buy and actually convert. So we obviously want to start with that person, that avatar. Now, what we can then do is we can create targeted advertising based on that person, right? And you can use AI to do this. I'm probably just going to use AI in all the videos of just walking through brainstorming, because this is what I do every single day. I use AI to brainstorm exactly how the next move and then execute on that next move. So then what we want to do from here is to say, if I were running your business, I'd say, okay, thanks, chat. Okay, so let's go with avatar number 1. Can you make me a 15-second Facebook advertisement script that I can read? And then, call that. I think that'll be right. Yeah, let's do that. So while it does that, it's going to create us a script. And here's what's amazing about this. Scripts, I like to rant. I like to go talk like this, where I'm just kicking the shit and we're deep diving and we're making shit happen. But when you are advertising, when you are really trying to create a message that is sharp, that is right there, I've found that doing a script is probably the best thing you can do, because there's such a short amount of time that you have to hit, and you deliver this, and this. And if you try to think of it in your brain, in your mind, you're gonna talk forever. I talk forever. I rant. Let's see what it comes up with. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and try to deliver this ad. Okay. And you can tell it to make multiple different ones, right? So this is just one ad that we would record straight to camera for your PPC. All right, so, and remember, when you deliver a line, you got your thing right out of reach. I'm gonna put this. You can see this right here, but I'd make a point to put my phone or line, whatever, out of reach, or not out of reach, but out of visual. You seeing it. And then what I'd do is I'd look down and I'd say, okay, first line is, hey brides to be. Hey brides to be. And of course I'm a guy, so you want to also pick the person, the type of person, right? So if this is going to women, you may just be a guy that's doing this, and that's just what you got to do. But if you're a female founder, you're gonna resonate more because you're more like the avatar. Okay, so I'm a guy, so I'm already gonna get negative points because I'm not the avatar that they look at and think, okay, I want to be that person. Anyway, so hey brides to be, and then you pause and look down. It's okay that you pause and look down. Your wedding day only happens once. But your photos last forever. And every time you talk, you're straight to that. You're straight to camera. And then you pause, look down. I'm Will, a wedding photographer. And you might say the line over and over a couple times before you get it. Who's all about capturing those real tears. Who's all about capturing those real tear-worthy moments. Who's all about capturing those real... You get the point. I'll read the rest, but you take the time to kind of just say it through. This will literally take you 5 minutes. It's a 15-second ad. My 2025 dates are almost full, so if you want to lock in breathtaking memories, tap below to secure your spot. Don't miss out. And we can get more targeted, etc., whatever. But that's how you do it. It literally is 5 minutes. You're gonna fuck up a couple of times. It's okay. Once you do that, You take it to your editor, or you take it to you take it into CapCut, Final Cut, Premiere Pro, whatever it is that you have. And you don't have to have any fancy whatever. You just cut out the blank spaces that you messed up in. Any cuts, you zoom in a little bit. At least that's what I would do. I'd zoom you in a little bit and zoom you out a little bit or whatever between the cuts, just so it doesn't feel whatever. And then that's the ad, okay? Make sure and make it there. Then I'd take that ad, upload it to Facebook. Upload it to Facebook, the ad campaign manager. And then I'd let that thing run. So every day, though, here's what we would be doing. Every day, we'd take 15 minutes, maybe 5 minutes to be like, okay. And once you have it in AI, you just say, okay, next ad, right? So if I say, perfect, another ad, boom. I press that, it creates a whole nother ad. So that's day 2, and I can say it. And the ad starts with, can you imagine looking back at your wedding photos and actually feeling that moment all over again? You just say that straight to camera, boom. If you want to get more fancy with it, you're in a background that looks like that. You want to get more fancy, you can get more and more, the closer you can kind of get to what it is. You're in a wedding dress, I don't fucking know. But most people with ads, they get overwhelmed with being able to create the ads, and so they don't make the ads, and so then we also settle on shitty ads. And so if every single day we make an ad, we have 30 ads that we could theoretically test throughout. Obviously we're not going to change out the ad every day, but if this one starts to flatline or this one's not getting us the CPC down, swap it out for another one until it starts to get down. Right now, my CPC, at least for my current ad, is about 50 cents, which is great. Not bad at all. Love to get it down to maybe 40 cents. 30 cents would be insane. But I'm cool with spending pretty much $50 to get 100 clicks. Think about that. Let's say that you were this bride, business. You're able to get 100 clicks to your website that are people that are interested for $50. How much does a wedding cost? You know what I mean? How much does a wedding photographer cost? $2,000, $1,000, whatever that is? Who knows? Something like that, right? Let's say that you get people over there, and out of those 100 people that click, maybe you get one booked appointment. Let's zoom that out a little bit and say, okay, you get one booked appointment, but you're not able to close that appointment. Obviously, this is a numbers game. So let's call it, you spend $100 for 200 clicks, and then with those 200 clicks, you get 2 appointments, meaning that you had a conversion rate of booked calls at 1% from your website. But you have a closing rate ratio roughly, you're pretty good at closing at about 50%. I'm making all this up, but roughly, right? You spent $100, okay, to get $1,000 wedding gig or a $2,000 wedding gig. I would spend that every fucking time. Every time. Because you spent $100 to make $1,000. You spent $100 to make $2,000, right? And so you then now that you have validation, then you can gas the ad revenue, and obviously you're making more ads that then make that happen. I make this sound a bit simple, right? Oh, that conversions just happen automatically, your booking's good. It's much harder to get it all through, but it will work, we will make this happen, right? That's at least what I would personally do if I was put onto your ad team. I'd make data, see, okay, where we're at right now, baseline. Then, okay, how can we beat that how can we beat that each week? Let's get it down. And obviously ads will get fatigued, so you do need new ads, and we can create new ads at the drop of a dime automatically. That's not saying we can't also make creative ads in Canva, like your portfolio pieces, stuff like that. So that is how I would personally handle doing your PPC ad campaigns if you handed it over to me. Hope you guys found value out of this. Hope you got some thoughts of what you could do to improve your PPC campaigns. And I will see you tomorrow. Peace out. Bye.